So, opinions on political matters are slowly formed. Some agencies are needed to excite them, and of these agencies, first of all, we found the press, and it includes both the print media and the electronic media. So, for the facts relevant to formation of public opinion, almost everyone has to depend on the newspapers, journals, magazines, as they are available at a very cheap price. Their influence in molding opinion with the spread of mass education has increased by leaps and bounds. Most of the newspapers, magazines, journals publish the details of legislative debates, speeches of eminent personalities, announcement of governments and parties, and various other news. Not all of them are political, but still political facts are certainly the best for consumption. So, every part of print media take pains to certainly do the best for to collect political news and make delicious dishes out of them. The representation of facts is not the only function. Their interpretation and into different particular view points are also undertaken by the print media. The readers avidly read the news and come to align themselves with a particular paper. Grievances are ventilated and the views expressed by the public through the newspapers, magazines, and journals. For this purpose, most papers earmark a few columns for its general readers. The news and views do not always go unheeded. The government takes note of them and carefully studies public reaction against its policies and measures. Thus, in the crystallization of public opinion, the newspapers, magazines, and journals play a vital part. The press is, however, not immune from defects. In fact, it is frequently observed that nowadays the newspapers and magazines or journals have only one function. They are engaged in the ceaseless task of holding a particular type of readers on whom they are dependent for patronage. All possible ways and means are adopted to in the favor of the readers. As Professor Herman Feiner points out, this amount of objectively true information and balanced opinion is, on the whole, small, and the press has acquired an extraordinary dominance over opinion, aggravating rather than correcting its defects. A free press is certainly an indispensable agency for the formulation of public opinion and maintenance of democracy. But as it ceases to become an open forum for the ventilation of all sets of opinion, and is transferred into a tool of big business, houses, and capitalists. It spells real danger. And now we'll discuss the second important source like the cinema, television, and radio as the agencies reading formulation of public opinion for communicating ideas, the motion picture. The television and the radio are important agencies. Only educated people may be influenced by the newspapers, journals, and magazines, but owing to the audio-visual method, the cinema, television, and the radio can influence even the illiterate in the developing countries such as in India and in the African continent where illiteracy is widespread. These media are very helpful in spreading mass education. Their potentialities are, however, not fully tapped. The cinema or the motion picture or television, for instance, has remained almost exclusively a means of entertainment, as still, however, the production of good documentaries, why, and other educational films, the cinema and the television may well be used as a means of education and opinion formation. The radio too is primarily concerned with functions of entertainment, yet it is a valuable aid to for formation of opinions. Some observers have been gone so far as to suggest that radio has re-established that direct contact between the political leaders and followers that characterized as Athenian democracy, as it was expressed by Professor J. Corey. So also we found political parties are tools of and agencies in regards to formation of public opinion. The most important agency for public opinion formation is the political party. So, as parties are the brokers of ideas, day in and day out, they feed the people with facts and ideas. Their sole purpose is to rally the people to their side. For they want to get a majority in the legislature and hold the reins of government. Accordingly, parties arrange the issues upon which public had to vote, canvass their points of view, nurse the constituencies and set of candidates. The valuable service rendered by the parties is that they organize the people and enable them to choose between alternatives. Various indictments have been made against political parties. Their honesty and utility have often been questioned. Still, without them, public opinion, which is the prime mover of representative democracy, can never be formulated and put to its proper use. And now we'll go to how assemblies and platforms, they are also responsible in the formulation of public opinion. For educating the people and formulating opinion, platform and assembly speeches are very useful means. Hence, every democratic government guarantees the right to freedom of assembly, as we found in our Indian Constitution, as provided fundamental freedoms under Article 19, Clause 1 of the Constitution of India. The speeches delivered in public gatherings sometimes leave indelible impression in the minds of listeners. All sort of rhetorical skills are employed to influence the public mind. So, for example, as a Brutus may win temporary admiration and an Antony a durable fame, as it is expressed in this connection, how assembly and public meetings and platforms they are responsible in formulating opinion. Nevertheless, eminent political leaders do set in motion the process of public thinking on important issues. So also, we found educational institutions are having considerable importance in formation of public opinion. The ideas developed in the early ages condition a student's outlook. The mind becomes already prepared and develops a bias to a particular political ideology. This, however, spells a danger. Education in school and colleges is intended to stimulate and increase curiosity. But a method of education that robs the student of their open mindedness and drugs them with a number of political half truths is certainly injurious. As Professor Feiner rightly remarks, if the teaching of policy in schools and colleges assumed important dimensions and a character of indoctrination, they could not possibly resist invasion in various ways by the managers, bosses, and officials of political parties. A narrow path must be through that of education, not party propaganda, and a high temperature will stimulate the attack of political disease, germs from the outside upon the body's academics. And now we'll discuss how legislature contribute in formulation of public opinion. The importance of legislature lies more in the reflection than in the formulation of public opinion. Still, however, it is the arena where the party in power comes to grip with the opposition. The heated debates that take place inside the legislature are published in the print media and also being showed in the electronic media. So people where the arguments advance by different parties and come to develop attitudes towards the actors in the legislature. A party that gives a good show on the floor of the House quickly wins public favor, but one that steps badly is sure to face evil days. So, now we would like to conclude the very discussion on public opinion and the various agencies which are responsible in the formulation of public opinion. So, the above list is, however, not exhaustive. There are other minor agencies that also play some part in the formation of public opinion, as such within the family circle, for instance. Sometimes opinions take their roots. A political view which is respected and fondly maintained by the affectionate elders of a family comes slowly to influence its younger members. Again, sometimes books and other important publications exert influence on the minds of their readers and help in the process of opinion formation. So, here we have completed our lecture on the very important legal and political issue, that is public opinion.